In this video, we're going to be using the Pythagorean theorem to solve a problem. So the question says, use the Pythagorean theorem to find C when A equals 9 and B equals 40 for the triangle ABC. Now, when we look at our triangle, it's a right angle triangle. That's what this symbol here indicates. That means we can use the Pythagorean theorem to solve for it. Now we just need to identify our sides. We're given side A and we're given side B. And what we're trying to solve for is side C, and that's the hypotenuse, okay? The side that is across from the right angle is the hypotenuse. So what this means is we're going to use the Pythagorean theorem, and that gives us the formula a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Okay, now this is the way the Pythagorean theorem is normally written, but it applies directly to our question, okay? Because this c squared in the Pythagorean theorem is supposed to be the hypotenuse. And we can see by looking at our triangle that our c is our hypotenuse, okay? So we can use the Pythagorean theorem just the way it's stated. So what this means is we can solve for the length of the hypotenuse, in this case c, by adding the squares of the two other sides together, okay? So when we add the squares of the two other sides together, that's going to equal the square of the hypotenuse, okay? It's not just going to right away give us the hypotenuse, okay? So we're going to have to do a few steps to find what C is equal to. So let's go ahead. First thing we're going to do is we're going to take our given values, A equals 9 and B equals 40. We're going to substitute them into this formula we have. So A is 9, and that's going to be squared. And we're going to add to that B, which is 40, and that's also going to be squared. That's going to equal C, and let's not forget it's squared, okay? So we're going to go ahead and we're going to simplify our left-hand side. So 9 squared is simply 81. We're going to add that to 40 squared, which is 1,600, and that equals C squared. So we'll simplify further. 81 plus 1,600 is simply 1,681, and that equals C squared. Now, the final thing we need to do is we're looking for C, right? We're not looking for C squared. So we're going to need to take the square root of both sides, okay? We can't just take one side. We have to do both sides. So the square root of 1,681 is actually 41. And the square root of C squared is simply C. Now, just one quick note. When we take the square root of a number, the answers that we get are actually we get the positive and the negative version. So we'd get positive 41, which is this. We'd also get negative 41. However, we're just looking for the length of a line, right? It's not on a graph or anything like that. It's just the length. We're just looking for the quantity, how long it is. So in that case, we're only interested in the positive value. So we can just ignore the negative. We just take the square root, and our answer is just positive 41. Now, one last thing. I'm sure you noticed when we isolated for C, one last thing I'm sure you've noticed. When we isolated for C, we ended up with our C on our right-hand side. And the answer of what C was equal to is on our left-hand side. That's okay. In math, we can write it either way. We can have our variable on the right or on the left. It doesn't matter. However, math convention, which is just the way we do things in math, states that we put our variable or unknown, we want to put that onto the left-hand side. So we can easily do that. Now, all we're going to do is we're going to swap both of these sides. So because of that, we're just going to rewrite it exactly as it is. Nothing is changing signs. We're just flipping both, okay? So if we bring the right onto the left and the left onto the right simultaneously, the signs do not change, okay? So our answer is simply C equals 41. However, we could write it either way. If you would like to learn how to quickly study for your GED exam online and get a new resume, then visit testprepskills.com.